Hey, what's up, guys? It's Hayden.
Hey, and I'm Emma. We are talking about the final 2 episodes of The Mandalorian Season 3. A lot happened in these last 2 episodes.
Massive couple of episodes.
A lot to get through. So, look, if you've seen the episodes and want to hear our thoughts, then stick around. We're, of course, going to start with episode 7, which is chapter 23, and it was called The Spies.
Yeah, and one spy in particular, Elia Kane, who, as we know, the one that betrayed Dr. Pershing in that episode, all about the cloning. One of the weaker episodes in the season, I think. But you can kind of see where that episode is now kind of paying dividends and where that storyline is now fitting in to the main storyline. Because I think without that, I don't think we would have known about Elia Kane's allegiances. So, yeah, I kind of get that now. And yeah, she's feeding information to the Empire, or more specifically, Moff Gideon. Moff Gideon is back, baby. And I kind of like that. I like that he's the big bad again. I love Giancarlo Esposito. I think he's fantastic, and he's fantastic in this role. So, yeah, good to see him back.
He's a great
More
villain.
menacing than ever.
Yeah.
We get to see him in, like, a council with the rest of, like, the Imperial, generals and stuff like that. So they're talking about Grand Admiral Thrawn. So that name gets thrown in. They're talking about cloning. You know, they're up to some mean business.
Some shady
Up
stuff.
to some shady shit. And then, as we know, the Mandalorians are back together.
And yeah, that was one thing that Moff Gideon was concerned about and brought up in that council meeting, is the fact that the Mandalorians are still a threat, and there's probably an uprising on the way.
Yeah. And I think that's, as we know, Elia Kane was kind of, that she got that information from that New Republic pilot who was saying, hey, we need to help these guys out.
Yeah.
So she's been kind of, putting her ear to the ground, so to speak, getting all this information, feeding it back to Moff Gideon. So that's how he knows that the Mandalorians are kind of gathering and are still a threat. And yeah, speaking on that, the Mandalorians do get back together. They go back to Navarro. The 2 tribes get back together. A little bit of tension there. A little bit of mistrust. They're not used to each other yet. There's obviously one side has their helmets off. One side is very much all about the way and about the creed. So yeah, a little bit of tension there. But, Bo-Katan does try to get them on the same page for the better good, because they need to go back and take Mandalore. But before we get to that, there was a cool little scene with Din Djarin and Greef Karga. So they're kind of having a chat, and Grief's like, hey, I've got a gift for you. And in comes what we think is IG-11. But it's got one of those little creatures kind of piloting it. And he's like, no, I've kind of, taken it down to its base motor functions, and now it requires like a pilot. So he picks up Grogu and puts Grogu in the thing. So now Grogu's got like this little IG-12 suit. And he's like driving it around, and it's got like this button where it goes, yes, yes, no, no. So Din's trying to get him out of it, and he's like, no, no, no. Just peak Star Wars comedy.
Yeah. So now we've got a way for, Grogu to somewhat vocally communicate.
Yeah, he's got a way to kind of vocalize, and
he can only answer yes and no.
Yeah, got a way to get around now, and
oh, that was such a funny scene though. I love that. And he obviously loved it. He loved that he had his own little suit and an own little robot to operate. So yeah, and then that obviously comes into play later on.
It does, yeah.
But yeah, so I guess their next move then is they all head to Mandalore and try and take it back.
Yep. So they arrive on the planet, they send the fleet, they bump into some locals.
Yeah, actually that was unexpected because I thought Mandalore was pretty much just a wasteland. But no, there were some Mandalorians still surviving there.
Yep.
Although they kind of looked a bit like pirates. So I thought, at first I thought we were getting more pirates, but no, we had more Mandalorians.
Like this futuristic pirate ship looking thing.
Yeah, it was cool.
That skims across the surface. Yeah, really cool design. I really like that.
And they were obviously very happy to see Bo-Katan. So they were more than happy to help them. And then we encounter some big ass creature.
Yep. They make their way to the mines. The locals are showing them the way. And yeah, this big creature just pops out of the ground, just cuts them in half.
I thought it was going to be the Mythosaur.
I thought it was going to be a Mythosaur as well, and I'm a little bit disappointed that it wasn't.
Yeah, I guess they're saving that for something else. But Yeah, it can't have been the mythosaur because I feel like the Mandalorians they would have reacted a bit.
Would have been a bit big of a deal.
Yeah, it would have been a big deal for them to be seeing a mythosaur because you don't really see them. So, and it's kind of like their creature, their mascot.
The mascot.
I don't know. But they look up to this mythosaur thing, and it's, they have it on their armor and on the flags.
Yeah, it would have been a big deal.
It would have been a big deal, and I just feel like, it had to have just been some other big-ass creature.
But anyway, it does force them underground, where they start to explore the mines a little bit more. And then next minute, these guys just can't catch a break. A new variety of stormtrooper. Modelled after the Mandalorians, got like jetpacks and flamethrowers, and
it's like the stormtroopers wannabe Mandalorians.
Yeah,
they were just copying them. But yeah, so then we get some cool, I guess, fight sequences then with the Mandalorians and these flying stormtrooper things.
Yeah, some really cool action there. Yeah, then we get like this great chase sequence through the mines, and then they kind of fall into a bit of an ambush. So these blaster doors kind of come down, and next minute Moff Gideon reveals himself, and things are not looking good for our heroes. Din Djarin actually gets trapped on the other side by himself, and he's trying to fight these stormtroopers by himself, and kind of gets overpowered.
That was pretty stressful, actually.
Yeah, and Grogu was freaking the fuck out as well.
Breaking my heart to see him like in a panic for his daddy. But doesn't Moff Gideon look very Darth Vader?
Yeah,
in this suit.
Vader,
it's very cool. But this was kind of a stressful little sequence.
Yeah, so they end up taking him away, and then turns their attention to the other Mandalorians. He's asking Bo-Katan to give him the Darksaber. Bo-Katan instead heads to the back, starts to carve her way through the door in what was very similar to a scene from The Phantom Menace.
Oh, yeah.
Where Qui-Gon Jinn does that. So a nice little callback there. And then, they open up the blast doors. Again, like this fight ensues. Paz Vizsla is doing some work. He's just mowing them down with his like machine gun thing. The others are able to escape through this hole that Bo-Katan has carved through the door, and Paz is like, go without me, I've got this. And he pretty much takes out the whole...
He does well.
He does well.
He does a good job.
He holds his own, but it's actually the Praetorian Guards. Newly acquired Praetorian Guards that are the ones to take him down.
These guys are really intimidating. Like, my heart started racing. I was like, oh, shit. I don't think he's going to get out of this. No. They look really cool, though. I actually really like these bad guys.
There's something that's been in, like, obviously Star Wars lore for ages. We've seen him in, like, Return of the Jedi briefly, although they didn't really do any fighting in that. We obviously saw them in the sequel trilogy. We saw them in The Last Jedi.
So they've made a few appearances.
They made a few appearances, yes. But I like to see them in The Mandalorian. That was really cool. Yeah, they obviously make short work of Paz Vizsla, so long. Paz.
I wasn't expecting him to be written off, but
he got a hero's death. He died like
a
Mandalorian.
He did. It was very honourable, and he obviously saved the gang. So and
that's kind of where this episode left off.
Yeah.
So big sad ending. Really sad ending, and that brings us to the last episode, episode 8.
Yeah. So here we go. So the season finale of season 3. So. Episode 8, chapter 24. This was called The Return.
Not Return of the Jedi. Return of the Mandalorians.
Yeah.
Because they're back. They're back. So this episode starts off with Din Djarin captured, getting dragged through the halls. The other Mandalorians are on the run. We've got this TIE interceptor fleet going after the flagship of the Mandalorian fleet. It's not looking good for our heroes. But Mando's able to get free with the help of Grogu, who somewhere along the line dipped from the other group and decided to go after Dad.
Well, of course he would. He's got to help his daddy.
Yeah, but they're able to get free. They send Axe Woves, who was kind of like that leader of the other Mandalorians.
The helmetless.
Yeah, they send him up to the fleet to try and warn them that the TIE interceptors are going after him. And so this whole episode is just action, just front to back action. Axe is able to make his way to the flagship. He tells the other Mandalorians to head down to the ground. and help the others while he pilots the flagship. So he's, now going after these TIE interceptors. We get like a bit of a space battle going on. The other Mandalorians, they go on the dropships. They're down on the ground. And then we get like this, this great action sequence through like probably the second half of this episode, where it's just aerial battles. They're going after each other, taking each other out. We get to see Bo-Katan with like the Darksaber, the armorer with her 2 bloody maces or clubs, whatever she's got. While all this is going on, Din Djarin is trying to find where Moff Gideon is. So he enlists the help of R5 to hack into the Imperial computer system and find out. So, he finds out where he is, and then there's like those red kind of shields that he's trying to get through, and there's like 2 stormtroopers in each section kind of guarding it. So again, a kind of like a callback to the Phantom Menace, where it's like that a lightsaber battle with Darth Maul, and there's like the shield barriers there. Very similar to that. But at every stage of the way, like we've got to remember, like Din Djarin's got no weapons on him because they were taken off him. So he has to get his hands dirty a little bit and fight each stage kind of barehanded. And at every stage he's like, he gets like a blaster and he gets like a club and and a shield.
I guess in a way those shields kind of helped him for the fact that he didn't have any weapons, because it kind of like gave him a chance to gain some weapons as each shield came up. Yeah, that was actually really cool, and I loved how R5 kind of had a little bit of a redemption for himself there, because he's been a bit of a scaredy cat leading up to this point, but he was finally able to be useful. And
got his hero moment.
He had his little hero moment.
Yep.
But very funny scene though, where these little like mouse droids were after him.
He gets found out by this mouse droid. R5 kind of shocks him, and then he comes back with his buddies, and they're all trying to like bully R5.
Ramming him, that was so funny.
And I do like that. I like that we do get some like really cool Star Wars humor in these last 2 episodes. Really well handled.
Yeah, because you still, Star Wars at the end of the day, you still got to have some humor in it.
Yeah.
So it's not all serious.
But he's able to find where Moff Gideon is, and then we get like this great like fight sequence between Din Djarin and Moff Gideon. Moff Gideon kind of gets the upper hand for a second there. Yeah,
well, I think he's got some pretty good armor now. And I think he made a comment in episode 7 that, he's kind of used Mandalorian Beskar steel to make this new armor. Was it just for himself or for his new troops?
I thought it was for his troops as well, because he was saying he's gonna like build an army of like these kind of Beskar Mandalorian troopers. So that's what I got from it, that he's kind of kitted out all his boys with it as well.
But he of course has some pretty decent armor now, so he can take on Mando, and it's a bit tense there for a little while. He does get thrown down a bit, poor Din.
Yep, and then we got like the Praetorian Guards that come in as well.
Yes.
So it's not looking good for our boy.
No, considering how the last episode ended, it's like, oh shit.
But Din, he's able to hold his own for long enough, and then Grogu comes in and saves the day. He's like, no.
Don't touch my daddy.
But then the Praetorian Guards are after Grogu.
Oh my god.
They kind of chase him into this room, and then like Din's trying to go after him, and Moff Gideon kind of lassos him and drags him back, and
I was so stressed.
So tense. It was such a tense episode.
I was getting like tearful. I was like so scared for little Grogu.
They've done that really well in their finales, I've found. They've able to handle tension and suspense really well.
Because in the back of your mind, you're like, they're not going to kill off the main characters. But what if they do? So I'm thinking, if Grogu dies, we riot. But like, surely not. Nah, they wouldn't.
That's stupid.
No, they wouldn't clean
You've got to
off.
think about the money, the merchandise.
But still, they still are able to make it tense enough that you're worried.
Yeah, you actually think, well, hey, what if,
Yeah.
So things aren't looking great for our 2 main heroes. But then comes Bo-Katan swooping in. And, just takes out Moff Gideon long enough for Din to go and save Grogu. So then we get a cool fight sequence between Bo-Katan and Moff Gideon.
Yeah.
So that was really cool.
And obviously, meanwhile that's going on, We have the other fight happening.
So much happening. So much happening.
The other fight happening with Din Djarin and Grogu and the red dudes. What are they called again?
Praetorian Guards.
I can never say that. They're just red dudes to me.
Dudes.
But that was really, like, fun, scary scene. You know, we see Grogu flipping out of... I think, doesn't IG-12 get taken out?
Yeah. So they pretty much like chop down like IG-12.
So he has to flip out of the machine.
Kind of flip out, and he's like hopping over these pipes on the ceiling. He's fast as fuck, boy.
It's been a really funny meme coming out since that. We can't stop watching.
So he's like flipping around, but then he kind of falls off and gets trapped. And then that's when Din Djarin comes in, and they're all to take out the Praetorian Guards.
And we see Grogu use his
Grogu's
little Jedi powers
he's
again.
using the Force. He's not doing much, but he's just kind of pushing them out of the way.
Yeah.
Taking the weapons away. Just doing enough for Din to get the upper hand and take out these Praetorian Guards, which is not an easy feat. These guys are elite.
Yeah.
These Praetorian Guards are elite. So, yeah, that was really cool. Good teamwork there. So then they're able to go out and help Bo-Katan defeat Moff Gideon. So we get the three of them teaming up, which was, just really fun. There's actually the action in these last 2 episodes, just all of it, was just so well done, so well choreographed. Really, really fun, really cool. Meanwhile, Axe Wolves, whatever his name is. Axe Woves. Like, he's the bloody capital ship's on fire. He's like flying it down into the base. So he's like, oi, guys, probably time to get out of there.
He's coming in hot.
He's coming in hot.
Literally hot. He's on fire. He's got to crash this thing, but he's going to
Yeah, so this thing's coming in. They're kind of driving Moff Gideon back. And then this thing just crashes into the base. Just the whole thing goes up. Most of the Mandalorians are able to make their way out, but the rest of them, like Moff Gideon, Bo-Katan, Din Djarin, and Grogu, kind of get caught up in it. The whole place goes up. Moff Gideon explodes.
Yeah, well, just kind of brushed over that quickly, but Moff Gideon goes up in flames. So, but is that it?
He's got that Beskar steel,
He's
so
got
I don't
that
think it's
armor on.
it. I don't think it's it. I think he's coming back.
They
They framed it in a way that it makes it look like he's dead, but he's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
because otherwise they would have had them actually like defeat him properly, like, kill him, instead of just like going up in like a ball of flames.
Yeah.
Because it just I reckon
it was too easy.
I reckon it was not too easy, but I just think it's how they framed it.
Yeah.
It's making us think that he's dead, but I think he's coming.
He's
back.
not dead until we see the light drain from his eyes.
Yeah.
So and then we get, oh my gosh.
And then Grogu is using his little force powers, little force field, and he's protecting Bo-Katan and Din Djarin
from Din Djarin.
From the flames.
You just said
Din Djarin.
You just said that so
Din
Australian.
Djarin.
Helps him from bloody Din Djarin. Yes. So he's using his Jedi Force to deflect the flames.
Grogu's coming in clutch. He's coming in clutch right at the end, right at the last minute.
What is that saying?
Clutch is like, coming in last minute.
Okay. I've never heard that before.
Never heard that. Jesus Christ.
Anywho. Our 3 heroes, I guess, at the end of the day, sitting there amongst the flames, but he little Grogu falls in a heap. Used up all his little energy,
tuck it out.
but he saved them all in the end, and
they successfully take back Mandalore.
That's it. Well, I guess the hard part's done, but now they've got to actually build the planet back up, and I guess that's what we're going to be seeing.
Well, they
in
ignite the
season.
forge again. They ignite the forge,
Yes.
so they're able to kind of build up Mandalore again. Build armor and weapons again. So, and now that they've officially taken back Mandalore, they can now baptize the rest of the younglings into the Creed. And Din puts Grogu forward, and he's like, "I'd like to have the kid adopted into the Creed." And the armor's like, "Well, you can't. He can't speak. He can't take the oath."
He can say yes and no.
Yeah.
Do you take the oath?
Unless
Yes.
unless he gets permission from his parents, which obviously very, very far away or potentially dead. So then that's when Din goes, "Well, I want to adopt him." So it's official. It is official. We've now got Din Grogu.
And I was a mess.
He is now officially the son of Din Djarin.
And he became Din Grogu.
Din Grogu.
I'm gonna cry again. I love it so much. I mean, he kind of had already, in a way, adopted him, but I guess he's officially said it out loud. I want to
He's
adopt
taken
this
him on
kid.
as his son, as his apprentice.
Yeah.
He's going to teach him the ways of the Mandalorian.
Yeah. So he couldn't officially get, into the creed of the Mandalorian, but look, I think an adoption is the next best thing.
That's his loophole. That's his way
Yeah.
in. They go visit that New Republic pilot, and Din strikes a deal with him. He's like, "Hey, if you got any work on the outskirts of the galaxy, just hit me up. Just let me know." Right? So it's obvious like he's wanting to kind of change his ways a little bit. Like he just doesn't want to work for anyone. He wants to do good. So he's a bounty hunter by trade. So that's kind of where his skill set is. So look, he wants to work for the New Republic. He wants to do good. He wants to teach Grogu how to do things the right way.
And well, he's got a son to look after now, so
exactly.
he's got to have his interests in mind.
So he goes back to Navarro. He gets the keys to a cabin on the outskirts of town.
Yep, Grief Card gives him
where he can hold up between adventures.
Gives him his own joint. And just a nice little way to wrap up the season.
Ends with Din on like the front porch just relaxing. Grogu's like in this little pond in the front yard just playing with frogs.
Playing or torturing?
Probably torturing, yeah. Just
frog.
like a really wholesome ending to this season. And I think it wrapped it up quite nicely.
It did. Do you know what? And I actually had the thought, obviously we're going to be getting a season 4, but I did kind of have the thought that they could have, in a way, wrapped that season and the series there. It kind of ended in a way that, for whatever reason, season 4 couldn't happen. I feel like we did get a fair bit of closure.
Yeah, and maybe that was on purpose. Maybe they thought, well, look, just in case this third season doesn't do quite as well, we've wrapped it up enough that we could leave it here, but we've also left it open enough that we've got room for more adventures.
Yeah.
So, I think there's going to be a season 4. Like, there's no doubt in my mind there's going to be a season 4. After obviously Ahsoka.
Yeah.
I think, look, and I hope this isn't the case, but we might see them pop up in Ahsoka. They might try and tie and weave those stories together like they did with the Book of Boba Fett.
You wouldn't like that if they did?
I'd like to just see Ahsoka be her own story.
I'm always up for
I
cameos.
don't want to see it as a bridge between season 3 and 4 of The Mandalorian like they did with Book of Boba Fett, because I think that ruined the Book of Boba Fett for me.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I feel like if they made cameos, that's fine. I think where Book of Boba Fett went a little bit wrong was, giving an entire episode
to
The Mandalorian, so it kind of felt like, it was a bit of a shared.
It was a bridge. They used it as a bridge between the Mandalorian seasons, and I kind of hope they don't do that with the Ahsoka series, but we'll find out. In saying that, what are your predictions for season 4? Where do you think they go from here?
Well, I think they're gonna have to build up Mandalore again. It's in pretty bad shape. They did discover also in this final episode that there is life form, like there's plant life underneath in like the caves or something. So, and they did say, however long ago, that they did plant farms. So I guess life finds a way. So there's resources there, and I guess surely we're going to be seeing that how it
develops, how they build it up,
how they build back.
I think that
Mandalore.
might be part of it. I think that season 4, I should say, could be the bridge between The Mandalorian and The Force Awakens.
Right.
So I think we could see the rise of the First Order.
That could be cool.
Yeah, because the Imperials are still out there. I reckon Moff Gideon's still alive. We've still got all those generals. Grand Admiral Thrawn's still out there. So I think the Mandalorian is going to be, I guess, the vessel to tell that story. Mm-hmm. To tell the story of how the First Order comes to be and kind of link that all together. Because that seems to be where they've been hinting at with like the cloning and all of that.
Yeah. Oh, and that was something that we didn't touch on in the last episode too, was we did see Moff Gideon had cloned himself a lot.
Yep.
However, Din Djarin and Grogu did kind of take them out. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe there are some more clones somewhere else.
With force powers. He was wanting to give himself force powers.
Yeah.
So that seemed like they've been hinting at that so much that I think that that's going to be another big part of season 4. And again, that has to lead into how they start cloning Snokes and leading into obviously the Force Awakens.
Yeah. Okay. That's not a bad theory. But I feel like also how it kind of wrapped up the season, with Din Djarin and Din Grogu now, kind of it, because I remember we said a few maybe in our last episode, our last video, how we weren't sure if this was going to become the Bo-Katan show, if we were going to still, be concentrating on Mando and Grogu. But I think, the season kind of wrapped up nicely, bringing it back to these two. Yeah. And I'd like to see them back on their own adventures.
I like that it gave them both a chance to shine. Like, it wasn't just like Bo-Katan all of a sudden just took over the show.
Yeah.
Din had a big part to play. Grogu had a big part to play. They were definitely still the main protagonists of this show. And I don't think that's going to change. I've heard some people say that, hey, this show's not going to be about Din as the Mandalorian anymore. It might be about another Mandalorian, aka Bo-Katan. But yeah, I don't think that is going to be the case. I think it's got to be Din and Grogu. They're the heart and soul of this series. Have Bo-Katan in there, tell her story as well. But Din and Grogu are the heart and soul of this. You
Actually,
can't leave them out.
Speaking of Bo-Katan, did we touch on the fact that the Darksaber?
No, we didn't.
Is gone now. So
Darksaber's gone.
Moff Gideon crushed the shit out of it. I didn't think it was something you could just break, but yeah, he's broken the Darksaber. So I wonder what the repercussions of that's going to be.
I don't think there are any. I think he thought that once he crushed it, the rest of the Mandalorians just weren't going to follow her anymore. And I think we discovered at the end of that episode that the Mandalorians are more than just their trinkets. As Moff Gideon was getting at.
And Bo-Katan and the Mandalorians are stronger together.
Yeah, exactly. So I think they don't really care about that. They see Bo-Katan as a leader. She's proven herself as a leader. So yeah, I think she's pretty safe.
Yeah.
There, yeah.
Anyway, look, I think season 4 could go anywhere. There's definitely room for more storyline there for sure. I mean, I feel like we've only just started to touch on Dr. Persian.
Yeah.
And all that cloning stuff.
More to say there, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to be bringing that back for sure. But look, I've heard some people not really liking this season. I've actually heard people saying don't even bother with season 3.
Where do you kind of rank this season?
I really enjoyed it. I mean, there's a reason that we talk about all the episodes in The Mandalorian. It is because we love the show so much. So, I don't know, maybe I'm biased, maybe we're biased, I don't know. But yeah. I thoroughly enjoy this show, and sure, like every episode can't be
a 10.
Yeah. Like
they've got to set things up. They've got to set things up, not everything can just be all out action like it was in the last 2 episodes. And if it was, then these last 2 episodes wouldn't have been as good. It wouldn't have been as special.
Yeah.
Because you would have just gotten that all the way through.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, look, I enjoyed it. It's hard to say whether it's my favourite season or whether it's my least favourite.
I don't know. I feel like all the seasons are kind of on par. I guess, in a way...
Like, I think they did up the ante a lot with, like, the action and the scope of the show, which I did really appreciate. I think there was maybe only just, like, 1 or 2 episodes that I think you could argue were kind of duds. Which was the Dr. Persian episode and the Lizzo Jack Black episode. I enjoyed both for the most part.
But they were the weaker.
They were the weaker episodes.
Yeah.
I think especially the Persian episode just went off track a little bit.
Yeah.
And yeah, the Jack Black Lizzo episode was maybe just a little bit too, maybe a few too many cameos, maybe a little bit too kind of sickly, sweet, silly, over the top. But outside of that, I thought the rest of the season was solid. 9, 10.
Yeah.
Like, fantastic season. And look, two episodes out of 8 that's not a bad percentage.
Yeah.
I
guess you can't, now that I'm thinking back on the previous seasons, I guess, it's going to be hard to top moments like when
Luke came back
and we saw R2-D2, like that was all pretty special. So, but yeah, I guess the Star Wars universe, it's so big. I mean, we could get other cameos in season 4 that could
Yeah.
be just as hard hitting. We don't know. So
Yeah.
look, could go anywhere, but we should probably wrap it up there. This
Yes.
is probably going to be a really long video. If you've stuck around to the end, thank you so much. Is there anything else you would like to say though?
Yeah, just thank you guys if you were one of the 20, 30 people that tune into every review that we did of this season of The Mandalorian. Yeah, just thank you guys for sticking around. Thank you guys for tuning in.
And nerding out with
and
us.
nerding out with us. But yeah, with that out of the way, just make sure you jump into the comments. Let us know what you thought of this season. Let us know what your predictions are for season 4. And yeah, let's get it going in the comments. And as well as that, make sure you do all that YouTube stuff. Slam that like button if you like what we do. Hit the bell for the notifications to be notified of what we've got coming up next. Subscribe to our channel and become part of the Headspace Films community. Most importantly of all, thank you guys so much for watching. And we'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.